What up, though, y'all? It's Chris. Appreciate you connecting with me while I do my 10,000 steps. I'm just not getting out here to do something today. Got the gym out of the way earlier and had to do a few other errands. So I'm a little later than usual coming to kick it with y'all, but I'm here to kick it with y'all regardless. Shout out to you, my subscribers, new and old. Thank you for joining me along for the ride to 5,000. Let's get into our topic, man. The blame game is in full swing right now. Kamala lost. She lost bad, too. Now that the dust is settling, it is a landslide victory for Trump. You know, there's been some interesting things. Trump, if he didn't sweep the battleground states, he got nearly all of them. And then it looks like states that Kamala won, they're all states that don't require an ID to vote, which is a very interesting statistic. So do with that what you will. But the blame game is in full swing. People are blaming, I mean, you're not going to believe this, but they're blaming Biden, saying it's his fault and that it's Tim Walz's fault. And I don't know how it's Biden's fault, because Biden really stayed out of the way after they pushed him out, which you knew he was a bit salty about that. But he never came out saying anything negative about her. He kept his mouth shut. He stayed in his lane and just let her do what it is that she was doing, which wasn't much of anything. Now, he was caught lip reading, talking to Obama, saying that she's not as strong as him. But I don't believe that swayed things for her one way or another. And to make matters worse, he was talking to Obama and Obama agreed. And she wasn't as strong as Biden. Imagine that. Biden got dementia, and you are not even as strong as him as a candidate. Kamala really was the worst possible choice that they could have went with. And I find it really amusing that they're on this whole no accountability tour, trying to spread blame for this colossal loss everywhere but at her. Bernie Sanders, who's a Democrat, he sent out some message that said, and I'm paraphrasing a bit here, but basically, he's not surprised that the party that turned itself on the working class has found itself where the working class has turned against it. These are unfortunate truths for them that they don't want to deal with. They want to live in some sort of alternate reality where the decisions made by this administration over the last 4 years did not directly affect their favorability when it came to Democrat voters. You had people like myself who voted Democrat before who flipped. It was really working class white people who were kind of first to change their mind about the Democrat Party. And then you see now Black and Hispanic voters have joined along. The queue line like right behind me. It's not moving. It's got an Amazon truck right there in between it, but it got past. As I were. It's just really been an amusing last couple days. Yesterday was amusing. Today is amusing. They've basically turned on Kamala the way they turned on Hillary. But Kamala's not getting quite as much criticism as Hillary did, because they're still trying to simp and make it seem like Kamala didn't do things herself to blow herself up. I mean, now some of this is Kamala's fault and some of it isn't. I'll say that. Because Kamala may have wanted to be installed, but they didn't have to install her. They could have chose a better candidate. You know, there's also a report out there that they spent over $1 billion on this campaign. Imagine that. I mean, Kamala was running for what, like 3 months? And they spent $1 billion on her campaign. If that is true, that is crazy. To drop $1 billion and this be the end result, man, I honestly don't know how they were expecting this race to go. I don't know how they could have believed that this would have ended up any way different than it did. This Biden-Harris administration was doing a lot of stuff that people just did not agree with. And we were almost like prisoners along for the ride this last 4 years. And people don't like feeling like prisoners in something that they really have no control over, especially when they're a prisoner to you just spending their money. You know, you've heard me mention before about the way they was handling tax dollars was a serious problem. They're talking about, you know, money for gender affirming surgery for prisoners. They were making it rain in all these various different places with these wars and stuff. It just was not, it was not working out in our favor. And it just would have been more of the same for an additional 4 more years. And if you're somebody like me and you already were very unhappy with how they were spending the tax dollars over the last 4 years, funding all these proxy wars, then you really were only going to vote one way, because there was only one choice. There wasn't really two. At least for me, there were not 2 options. There was one option. There was vote for more of the same that I don't like, or vote for the guy that was in there before, where those 4 years I was thriving and I wasn't dealing with any of the stuff that I am now. I never was angry about the way the tax money was being spent during Trump's administration. Was I pleased with everything? No. But I never was just outright like, bro, what the fuck? Like I have been these last 4 years under them. And the gall to expect us to vote the same, as if we don't have the intelligence to identify that we made a mistake and change up. Michigan flip red, and you know, we're all pretty happy about that. I've been around talking to different people, and I've not really come across anybody that's upset that the election went the way that it went. We're all pretty okay with it, because why wouldn't it be? Decisions that Biden made directly affected our economy and way of life here in Michigan because of the auto industry. You know, he made that push for the EVs that nobody was buying. Hey, what's going on, bro? Yeah. I don't know. I think he asked me for $1 or something like that. You guys know how I feel about asking me for money. You see, I'm like on my phone and stuff. Don't ask me for no money. That's definitely not going to put me in a mood to support whatever cause you on. But as I was saying, you know, they made changes to the auto industry with the heavy push for these EVs that were just sitting on lots they really couldn't sell. I know there are people who really like EVs, but you got to give people a choice. Trying to mandate and force this EV change, full fleet, all of the auto industry by 2035, this had a tremendous negative impact on our economy and way of life here. And people love that industry largely when Biden was coming here before, when Biden was still on the ticket. We're letting him know that they appreciated him coming to talk with them, but they would not be voting for him again, and they let him know why. Kamala thought because she was not Biden that she could, I guess, convince people otherwise, that she would be different, but it didn't work. It didn't work. Not in the slightest. She didn't convince anybody that she'd be any different. You know, the thing is that when your way of earning a living is on the line, you don't have time to take a chance on going with somebody and hoping they change things around. You know, like, is she gonna keep doing the same stuff, or is she gonna turn things around? You really don't have time for that. You have to go with the option that is going to, more likely than not, it's not guaranteed, but more likely than not, give you the better outcome that you're searching for. And so we very much voted here in Michigan that way. It is what it is. But the blame game has begun. Nothing's Kamala's fault. And I find this to be funny. I think she's only being pandered to and sent for like this because she's a woman. Because if it were a male candidate that failed this badly, I don't think anybody would be making excuses for him, pointing fingers here, there, and everywhere. They'd be held accountable for how bad of a campaign they ran, how much money they spent, and lost by a landslide. A man would absolutely be held accountable for this. A man would not have excuses made for him. So I'm gonna leave it there. I appreciate y'all connecting with me. I'm gonna holler at y'all soon. Peace.